have been project panning for nearly 3 years now, which is insane to me. Time really does fly when you're having a blast, and I've absolutely loved project panning here on my channel, and I know you have absolutely loved watching it as well. But there are a few products that I have loved panning a little bit more than others, and today I'm going to be talking about my proudest project panning moments ever in the past 2 years, and I'm so excited to share these with you. Hopefully we can look back on some fond memories, and if you have been following me and you remember some of these old ass products, then kudos to you. Let me know down below if you remember these, because you are an absolute trooper if you do. Also, elephant in the room disclaimer, if my makeup is a little bit crusty, dusty, musty, I have been at work all day, 9 to 5. I have been designing a scaffolding banner today, so that's been my day. What about yours? Let me know what you've been up to, because designing a scaffolding banner was not on my bingo card for 2024, but here we are. We live, we learn, we thrive. Okay, so I have to start with this. This is my e.l.f. Truffles palette, and oh my god, this was the start of a love story. Okay, it was not only the start of my love of project panning, but it was also the start of my love for cool toned eyeshadows. So this was a tiny little quad. It was 4 shades. It was so inexpensive. I think it was like £4, and it was like a taupey silvery shimmer, a really pale taupe, a dark brown matte, and a black matte. And I panned this almost to completion. At the end of the year, I had finished the 3 front colours, and it was just the matte black left, and I decided it's a matte black. I'm going to declutter it by the end of the year, and that's what I did. But I finished the other 3 shades, and I was so proud of myself. It was the first eyeshadow palette that I have come close to finishing ever. It was my absolute perfect dream everyday palette as well. I absolutely adored it. It really kick-started my love into cool tones, and now I can't get enough, okay? I can't get enough of cool tones, and it's because of that palette. I would repurchase that palette, but I have like 7 billion eyeshadows in my collection. But that palette is my dream palette. I love that palette so much, and I am really sad that I have panned it almost, because I don't have it anymore. I do have my Natasha Denona Glam palette, which I'm very happy with, and that is my kind of new e.l.f. Truffles palette. But this palette made me realise I can pan eyeshadows to completion. I can do it. Oh my god, I can do it. It gave me the confidence to pan my Modern Renaissance, which I'm still panning over a year later. But I am so thankful to this palette, because it really showed me what I could do. It sounds so cringy, but it really did show me what I could do, and I was so proud of myself for finishing those 3 shades. 3 out of the 4 shades. I'm so proud of myself. If you remember the e.l.f. Truffles Bite Size palette, let me know down below, because that would have been 2022. So you've been here a while, but not as long as, if you remember, the Revolution duo. I think it was called Desert Sands. I'm not sure. I will leave it on screen if I am wrong. It was a little duo, okay? It was a contour shade and a highlight shade, and I was panning this when I was at my Neighbours from Hell apartment. Who remembers the Neighbours from Hell apartment? If you remember the Neighbours from Hell apartment, you are a relic here on this channel. Long story short, if you're not that old, if you're not with us in the care home, I moved into a crack den, pretty much, and it's where I met my best friend Autumn. She's not a crackhead. Don't worry. We were the only 2 sane ones there, and I hated my life. It's been a bit of a theme up until 2024, really, on my channel. I've just been in really bad situations, but I lived in that apartment when I was panning this, so this must have been 2020? Oh my god, it would have been 2020 when I panned this, and I absolutely loved it. It was my first kind of face palette. I say that in quotes because like it was 2 shades and there really wasn't much product in the packaging of this. The pans were really shallow, but the quality of this was so good, and I got through it. I finished both of those shades. I finished that whole little duo to completion, and again, it gave me this drive. It was like, oh my god, I can finish a whole palette. And I think that was the very, very start of this like panning journey and this like, I can do this. Okay, Elf Truffles was Mark 2, but this was the OG original. I scrolled back through my videos to find this and oh my god, I cringe so much. Who knew I'd be here like 4 years later? That's disgusting to say, but who knew I'd be here nearly 4 years later, loving my life in such a better place. Who knew? We all knew that this was coming up, okay, so I'm going from a relic to a very, very newly finished product. Here we go. Speaking of face palettes that I completely finished, this is my Huda Beauty Summer Solstice palette. I have very recently finished this in my last Pan That Face palette update. I did declutter this shade Copacabana, but the other 3 shades I have completely used up. And I'm just so excited I managed to do it. I always fear Pan That palettes because there's always that thing in the back of my mind that's like, you won't be able to do it. You won't be able to do it. And I obviously hadn't completed this in a full year, but I had completed it in a year and 2 months. So I was 2 months over. I will give myself that. I'm so proud of this. I'm still on a bit of a high with this, not gonna lie. I will be smiling and laughing about this for about 3 months. I'm still up in the air, baby. I just think it's such bulky packaging, and to be honest, I really didn't like the palette in the end, and I'm just really glad that it is out. I did this, yeah. So speaking of this palette, and kind of in this palette was my Huda Beauty Peachy Blush. I frankened the Huda Beauty Peachy Blush into one of these shades, which was the biggest regret of my life. Or was it? I don't know. If I hadn't have frankened the Beauty Bay Peachy Blush into here, I would have had this done way before the year mark, but I decided to make my life even harder for myself. I like to do that apparently. And I frankened it into this blush space. I finished it though. I finished it though. And I'm so proud of myself. To finish a blush is so difficult and I did it. I finished a whole blush up. That is insanity. That is so amazing. I'm so ridiculously proud of myself for doing that. If you have finished a blush, kudos to you. Like, absolutely, you are insane, incredible, beautiful, miraculous. I love you. If you have finished a blush, you know the struggle is so real, and you should be so proud of yourself if you have finished a blush, because oh my god, that was a task. So before I talk about my final proudest panning moment, I do have a honorable mention, and I have to put this in there. This is my Modern Renaissance eyeshadow palette, and my update would have just gone live, but this is what we look like. We have 4 shades left, so we've not finished it completely, but I have completely panned Tempera, Golden Ochre, Burnt Orange, Vermeer, Primavera, Antique Bronze, Warmed Hope, and Cypress Umber. I did Franken Raw Sienna and Venetian Red together to make a blush, so they have not been completely finished yet. But other than that, they've all been completely finished or have massive, massive pan on them, as you can see here. This will be my first like full eyeshadow palette that I have ever finished, and it just makes me so proud. This is a year and 3 months worth of progress, and I can't stop looking at it and just smiling. Like, that's how you know that you're so proud of something that you've achieved. I just keep smiling when I look at it. These 4 shades aren't really my kind of shades. There's a reason that they're the last shades left in the palette. I don't really like these super warm tones, but I'm determined. I did say in my update recently, I like to get a big fluffy brush and mix all 4 of these shades together, and they make a nice blush shade. That is what I'm wearing today, though I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see because I've had my makeup on for way too long. But the Modern Renaissance, it's gonna stick with me forever, I think, in the weirdest, cringiest way. Like, it's makeup, whatever. But I'm just so proud of myself. Look at this palette. I did this, and I'm so proud. I'm such a proud little mom. And the final thing that I want to talk about today is my Coty Airspun powder. Loose powder is the hardest thing to pan, and I have panned 2 of these. I've panned 2 to completion. One was in 2020, and I think one was around 2022 maybe. I'm not too sure on the dates. But I have panned 2 of these and I'm so proud of myself. I actually have a pretty new one with me now. I have rebought a 3rd one because I'm crazy apparently. And I definitely don't reach for it much now, but when I was first starting out in makeup and when I was first, dabbling into makeup, watching Tati Westbrook talk about how amazing this was, I knew I had to have it. I really wanted to have it because all the big beauty influencers were talking about powders that are like 30-40 pound, and my little student ass couldn't afford that, let me tell you that. But Coty Airspun, this was like 16 pound. I was like, I can afford that, I can stretch my budget to that. And I went through 2 of them. I never used any other loose powder ever until I moved on from these, until I panned 2 of them, because I just thought that this was the best that you can get. And honey, oh, there's a reason I don't reach for it much anymore, let's just say that. But to finish 2 of them, and they're not tiny things either, they are big, big boys. Is there a weight on this? 65 grams. 65 grams of powder in here, and I finished 2 of them. That's over 100 grams of powder. I'm just so proud of myself for that. That is such... I must have been mental. I must have been on a mission to finish those 2, but I did it. So let me know down in the comments, what is your proudest project panning moment? I really want to hear it. I want to celebrate in the comments with you guys, just as we have celebrated me today. I hope you have an incredible day today, guys. Did I even say like and subscribe at the start of this video? I don't even think I did. I think I just went straight into it. I was just so excited to film this video. But like and subscribe because I upload 7 videos a week. Yeah, 7. You heard right. I'm insane. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow for a brand new video. Bye bye.